For my third year of university, I decided to go on an Erasmus year abroad. Having recently done a placement module, I wanted to expand my horizons, and as I had contemplated leaving the country on graduation, when offered this opportunity, how could I refuse? A year in another country sounded brilliant. I could choose from numerous countries and decided eventually to study in Madrid, Spain. Before leaving, I took the opportunity to learn some basic Spanish, which was very useful as not long after arriving I realised that not many people spoke English. I decided to fly to Madrid a few weeks before starting at my new university in order to find an apartment. The university complex is outside Madrid itself, and initially I was advised to live in Villaviciosa de Odun, the town in which my university is situated. However, during my trip out there, I discovered that the town was very small and was in the middle of nowhere. I wanted to be engulfed in the city life and culture of Madrid, so I decided that this was not the place for me. Instead, I opted to live on Calle Arenal, one of old Madrid's main streets, in an apartment shared with 12 other students. This was a brilliant choice for me as everything is within walking distance, and the few days I go to universities, I don't mind getting the 40-minute bus. My Spanish university is called Universidad Europea de Madrid. When I first arrived and tried to enroll, the university was very unhelpful and disorganised. When asking for help with enrolment, I was sent to numerous people who kept on passing me on to the next, and nobody seemed certain as to what was going on. Consequently, the first week at university was a struggle for me. As part of our introduction, we were placed in classes for a week's worth of Spanish lessons. Unfortunately, the teaching style only dented my confidence. The teacher moved me away from everyone else who could speak English and told me not to speak any English at all. Having only a little knowledge of Spanish, the whole exercise just made me feel less confident and doubt my abilities. I had intended to join Spanish classes whilst at university, but this experience made me decide not to. From this, I would strongly advise getting as much language experience as you can before moving country. When choosing my modules, I really wanted to focus my learning in the area I considered as a future career. So I chose 6 modules from both PR and advertising classes. I found these courses to be very hit and miss. In the first semester, I learnt about media planning, digital advertising and consumer behaviour. I felt digital advertising was a waste of my time. We were only shown basic use of software such as Photoshop and Illustrator, and I had these skills before I entered the class. Unfortunately, I only found this out after the deadline to change classes. My media planning class was nothing like it was described on the syllabus. The class was very challenging at times, however by the end I understood how media planning and media buying worked, and I was very proud of this. After this class, I definitely know that this was not an area I'd like to go into. I really liked my consumer behaviour class. It was very interesting to learn about why and how consumers act the way they do. I really feel I gained an insight into advertising, which was what I was hoping to gain from the module. From the beginning of my Spanish university experience, it was obvious to me that Spanish students had no intention of being friends with the Erasmus students. Although Erasmus students would try and talk to them, they had no interest in talking back. However, there were plenty of us foreign students in the same boat, and finding friends was not difficult, as majority of Erasmus students want to make friends and have a good time. During my second semester, I was supposed to take 2 classes. Unfortunately, one class had been advertised as being in English was only taught in Spanish, and my level of Spanish was still not good enough and I had to drop the class. However, I really enjoyed my class in visual and creative development. Using a lot of references, we expanded our knowledge and created projects. The teacher for this class was very supportive and pushed us to create pieces for our own portfolios. This I found very helpful, and I can see that my work has definitely improved. Currently, I am studying advertising photography and corporate identity and brand development. So far, I'm enjoying both classes. My corporate identity and brand development class had a guest speaker discussing entrepreneurship and social media in China. I found this to be very inspiring, and I now know that I want to base my 4th year dissertation on intercultural advertising. My university claims to be international, but in reality it seems biased towards the Spanish, and being an international student only seems to be a disadvantage at times. Events and trips run by the university are only available in Spanish, and because of this, many who can't speak Spanish miss out on great opportunities and experiences, such as workshops and seminars held by top journalists and advertising specialists. I am glad I went to UEM as I have made some wonderful friends there. However, I do not enjoy university life in Spain as much as in the UK, as there is no social aspect to it at all. The students only turn up to classes and then go home. Coventry is much more social and interactive than UEM, and I prefer this way of university life. I would advise those who go to UEM in the future to take care when selecting modules, as the university organisation is definitely not what you get from the UK experience, and you can be left disappointed when the classes you selected are not as expected. I found it very hard to adjust to the Spanish cuisine. Being a vegetarian also made this more difficult, and that does not seem to exist out here. Everything vegetarian has either tuna or jamon on it. However, I do really enjoy churros, and living across the street from the world's most famous churreria is just a bonus. Looking back to the beginning of my year, I definitely feel my Spanish has improved, and the app Duolingo is useful. However, only to the extent when I want to buy something or order food and drink. The most common language between my friends and my housemates is English, so I rarely get to speak Spanish other than in those situations, which limits my ability to practice. Madrid is a very beautiful city, and it's easy to get lost in its extravagant streets. I really like the fact that the old part of the city where I live is more residential than commercial. Madrid as a capital city is very different in comparison with London, and the city is a mix of old and new, and I really like this. I enjoy exploring the city, and still to this day I can go out and discover new places as well as revisiting favourites I have already found. The city has a lot to offer with parks, museums, palaces and a great zoo. I enjoyed learning about Spanish culture, especially during the festive season when I learned that Spain does not celebrate on Christmas Day as we do in the UK. Instead, they celebrate the arrival of the three kings on the 6th of January. I really enjoyed the winter as the streets were decorated with many beautiful lights and there were lots of little markets in the main plazas. Now it is May, the weather is back to being at least 30 degrees, and who can complain at that, although I now have some dodgy tan lines. Madrid has a very well run and affordable transport system, making travel within the city easy and safe. Outside Madrid, travelling around Europe and Spain is also easy and affordable, with many operators doing trips to some amazing countries. I now feel I am a seasoned international commuter. I really love travelling, and I can't wait to visit more countries and to the final cities surrounding Madrid that I have yet to go to. During my stay, I have made friends with students from various countries from around the world, and I've enjoyed learning about different cultures. As we were all in the same boat together, I know some of these friends I will keep forever. Because of this, I have been invited to several countries such as Germany, Canada and Amsterdam, in which I hope to visit in the next year or two. Spain as a country is very relaxed, unlike England. No one seems to be in a rush to do anything. At first I found this frustrating, but now I'm more in tune with the Spanish lifestyle. I stopped worrying and just go with the flow. Looking towards the future, I still want to work in advertising or PR. I believe that my communication skills have improved not only from trying to understand spoken Spanish, but also trying to create a dialect that is intelligible to those whose English is basic. I now have a much better understanding of the difficulties of communication in an unfamiliar language. One outcome of my stay in Spain is that I am now no longer sure that I want to move countries. England will always be home, and for all its faults I have still missed it. I now know that I would enjoy a career predominantly based in England, yet which still allows for travel to other countries. I believe that as a person I have grown up and matured more this year than in previous ones. Although I have been living away from home for nearly 3 years, I don't think anything could have prepared me for life outside of university as much as living in Spain has. I'm not where I wanted to be with my linguistic abilities, which is a disappointment, but when I return to England I aim to take more Spanish lessons. My portfolio and skills have improved a lot during my time here, and I now have more passion when it comes to creativity. I feel I am ready to settle back into the hard work of 4th year with more skills than I had before, and I am looking forward to starting a career after my graduation. Like most journeys, this one has had its ups and downs, but the memories created are truly unforgettable. This has been a once-in-a-lifetime experience which has transformed me, and which I secretly don't want to end.